ladies and gentlemen in the audience. My name is Anthony Smith, and I live at 219 Church Street in Stanton, Virginia. And I'm the CEO of Secure Futures, a solar development company based in Stanton, Virginia. I'm also a professor in the MBA program at Eastern Mennonite University, where I teach business for sustainable organizations. And it's on that point I would like to affirm what we heard earlier from public testimony. I'd like to extend that to say that the IRP plan represents a rational extension of the business model of Dominion. The employees and stakeholders of Dominion are all very smart and well-intentioned people. The IRP reflects a business model where the incentives are to support a vertically owned company structure that develops, owns, and operates their own generation facilities. And as a result, it creates a disconnect between that and distributed generation, which is the essence of solar technology. Solar technology operates best when it's distributed, particularly behind the customer's meter. Largely because the huge benefits of solar is that you're producing energy where it's being consumed. Now that's not easily accomplished by a large corporation whose incentives are to own and operate all those facilities. Case in point, the SP program, solar program for residential creates, in my view, humble opinion, the wrong incentives for homeowners. It's replacing that metering with a program of offering residential homeowners 15 cents per kilowatt hour. The trouble with that business model is that it actually costs the homeowners more than that, because they now have to pay income tax on that income. So the net benefit to the residential homeowner is less than the 15 cents. As it also happens, the renewable energy credit value, which is attributed to being 4.5 cents of that 15 cents, is actually superseded by what those RECs now sell for in Pennsylvania, which is where Virginia generators can sell their RECs. The other downside of this is that it doesn't really cause the homeowner to change their behavior. There's no incentive for the homeowner to reduce their energy costs because that solar generation is completely transparent to them. It is owned and operated by the homeowner, and the homeowner continues to pay their electric bill as they did before. So there's no direct connection between solar and demand-side management by the residential homeowner. Likewise, with the, I guess it's called the partnership program now for commercial scale, it's essentially a roof leasing program from the customer's perspective. There's absolutely no incentive for the commercial property owner to change their behavior. They do not respond to any signals to make best advantage of that solar. I'll explain to you in just a couple minutes why that's important. We installed the first commercial scale solar project in Virginia. Commercial scale meaning over 100 kilowatts done through a solar power purchase agreement in 2010. It's kind of a sad commentary for Virginia that it was the largest in 2010, but that's such as it is. We have 3 years of data, and in that 3 years, Eastern Mennonite University was able to shave their peak demand by 200 kilowatts. That's significant because they incorporated the solar as part of their demand-side management. They used those signals to shed load. So when there was a cloud cover, that's their demand-side management system dynamically reduced load to make up for that loss. And therein lies an important point. There's a lot, an accumulating body of evidence-based research that connects demand-side management with solar. So where you read in the IRP that solar is dismissed as an intermittent resource whose peak does not coincide with Dominion's coincident peak, which is later in the afternoon, while those statements are at face value true, they miss the larger point that when you couple solar with demand-side management, you achieve greater synergies than imagined in the IRP. And in fact, we have started an economic analysis with our local utility company in Harrisonburg and discovered that, in fact, the solar contribution to the utility company from the Eastern Mennonite University solar project is creating a net benefit to the utility and therefore to all the ratepayers. That's a very significant finding. And it stands in the face of some claims that perhaps net energy metering reflects an actual cost to ratepayers. What we're discovering is an actual benefit. So what I would suggest in light of all this is that while the longer term solution is perhaps a legislative solution in terms of really working with Dominion to change the incentives for the company to more proactively embrace distributed generation. The shorter term solution I would respectfully submit to your consideration would be to encourage the company to look more carefully at 5 or 6 different things. One is to really more closely look at the true value of solar and its dynamic opportunities with demand-side management. In the IRP, these are treated as totally separate considerations. They actually have much more benefit working together, so that would be one suggestion. The second is to re-examine the true value of solar with net energy metering. And not to take at face value statements that there are stranded costs and costs to non-participants. And along those lines, we would support the recommendations of the Consumer Council to make those costs more transparent. The fourth would be to more actively or proactively look at behind the meter generation. This is given very short shrift in the IRP. In 255 pages, I think I discovered maybe 3 lines devoted to behind the meter generation. And that's, of course, because the company doesn't control behind the meter generation, but it represents a huge and significant possibility as far as meeting our energy resources. And finally, to really build into the IRP more proactively events over which the known unknowns has been recently popularized. The effects of severe weather. We saw this last winter, for example, the effects of the polar vortex. I would submit that that's probably not an accident that we'll never see again. We'll probably see more of those types of events that drove up natural gas prices. Those, I would bet, are not in that closely held information that we're trying to look at. So altogether, the gist of what I would like to respectfully suggest is that the IRP look at the many missed opportunities between solar and demand-side management and behind-the-meter generation to address the concerns you heard earlier today about the urgency of building in a better environment for ourselves and for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Smith. Any cross? Okay, hearing none, thank you.